much for meeting with me and taking time out of your day.
Course. Of
I
course,
know
it's my pleasure.
you are with all your yoga classes.
Yeah, yeah. I have since COVID, it's just been a few group classes, but I have a lot of private clients. So I'm running around Jersey all day.
Oh, really? Your studio is so wonderful. Like, thank you
Thank
for making that
you.
studio. I love it so much.
Yeah, I'm not the owner.
Okay, well, I saw you for the instructor for the training, and I was very excited.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, Kelly, yes.
Yes. I've been there longer than any other teacher
Oh,
because it
yeah,
used to be Unique Yoga, which was started when I started working there in 2010.
really?
And yes,
Well,
and it
that's
was
you've been
Unique
working
Yoga,
there
and it
like
was
a
a
long
man.
time.
I've been teaching yoga a long time, and it was a man who was a personal trainer and saw that hot yoga was kind of becoming popular. So he
Uh-huh.
just opened a studio, knew nothing about yoga, didn't know how to recruit teachers. And he sent the girl who was his friend, who was working the desk at the time, he sent her out to find teachers, and she found me.
Wow.
And when I started teaching there, everybody really liked me. So he was like, how many classes can you teach for me? So I was teaching a ton of
Wow.
classes. And then he was like, how can we clone you? And that's how the training program started. And I've been teaching that since 2011.
Wow, that's exciting. You've been teaching a long
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
have you been practicing this long, or how long have you been actually practicing yoga?
So since my oldest is 16, and when I was pregnant with him, in 2005, I took prenatal yoga, and that was my first yoga experience.
Oh my goodness.
And I had danced my whole life, so I loved how yoga made you feel kind of like you felt in a dance class.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah.
So when I was after I gave birth, I'm like, you know what? Let me try a yoga class. And this was non-hot because vinyasa wasn't hot back then. And I'm like, let me try a yoga class
Right.
without this big belly. And I went to a studio around the corner for me. I could walk there. And I took my first yoga class and I fell in love with it. And then that's all I've done since then. I don't run, I don't lift weights, I just practice yoga.
Oh, well,
That's
I
it.
love that story because I fell in love with it too. I love
Hmm.
that story so much. And it's so funny how you started with prenatal and just went into the regular.
Yes, yes. Because when I had the big belly, I'm like, oh, I wonder how this feels without the belly, you know. And I was hooked. I got
Oh my
addicted to
goodness.
it
Must
pretty
have been a
early
totally
on.
different experience to do the yoga after you had the baby as opposed to like
Oh,
before.
it was because when you do yoga, you get stronger, you feel good, you want to keep going. When you have that baby in your belly, the belly just keeps getting bigger no matter what you do. So your balance is off. You start to feel really tired. So prenatal was great for me for my first son. And then my second son came 2.5 years later. And
Uh,
I started out taking vinyasa classes because I had been practicing vinyasa for a while. And at the
right.
seventh month, I was like, I need to switch to prenatal. This is too much. I was just exhausted. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? It's not even fun. I'm so tired. I feel just, like I can't, like I wasn't enjoying it as much. So I switched to prenatal because I still wanted to do something. And I did prenatal until I gave birth. And then I went back to vinyasa.
Wow. And you would say vinyasa is like more prevalent now than it was back then.
It is.
Especially
So
hot vinyasa yoga.
hot vinyasa. So vinyasa was around back then, but not hot vinyasa. The only hot yoga they had back then was Bikram.
Oh, thank God it's changed because I love
I
the hot yoga they have now, especially at your
know.
studio. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely fabulous. And do you how do you deal with your day when you do the yoga classes? Do you find that like it enhances your day, like after you leave your yoga practice, that it adds to the daily routine? Like you take that mindset, that like that tone with you. Because I know when I take a yoga class, I'm like I'm in a different frame of mind
You
afterwards,
are, I need it.
right?
Yeah, I need it. Like it's a reset
Absolutely.
for me. It's like a reset. And I have to say, before COVID, I was teaching about six group classes. Listen, when I first started teaching, I was teaching 12, 13, 14 classes a week. I was a machine. I was a lot younger. And really, to get a following, you had to kind of do that. And when I first started teaching, too, the first studio he owned was on Bloomfield Ave in Verona. And when we started the training program, he decided to keep expanding. So after my first training program, I had a few of my friends. The first training was all of our friends, his friends, my friends. So I had a few friends
Awesome.
that I had grown up with who did it with me, and they were up, they lived up in Sussex County. So he opened up a studio up that way, and he filled that studio with those teachers. So then that's what we started to do. And people wanted to train with us back then too, because they were guaranteed a job. Because anytime a group graduated, he would open up another location and say, okay, do you want to work there? So it really
Yeah.
worked out. So people up from Morris and Sussex County were training with me too, because he lived up that way. So he was opening more studios up that way, and they were guaranteed to have a job, which was great. So prior to COVID, I was teaching and barely getting to my mat because we were walking around and teaching. We weren't doing the whole class with
Hmm,
everybody.
that's interesting.
Um, we were, because I was taught, and this is how I taught the trainees, that, it's the classes that you're teaching isn't supposed to be for you. It's supposed to be for everybody who's coming. So
Right.
walk around, give them attention, give your cues, go around and assist manually. And then COVID hit, and we were forced to go virtual.
Mm.
So when we went virtual, I wasn't just going to stand on my mat in my basement and look at the computer and tell people what to do. Most people didn't even have their cameras on. They, like, for me to see them, they can only see
Oh,
me. So I'm like, I'm
it's
going to
a
do it
never
with them.
different.
Yeah. So I did it with them, and all of us did that. And we all got used to that. So when we came back into the studio and we were wearing masks first, I'm like, I'm going to continue to do it because people might not be able to hear me in the back. And we were not walking around because we were staying 6 feet apart.
Oh my goodness.
So everybody had their mats spread out, and nobody really wanted you in their personal space. Then when the masks came off, I had a few of my clients say to me at the studio, we really like you up there. You keep the energy up, and it's a really nice model to look at as far as alignment. If you're going to stay in that pose, we're going to stay in that pose, and we're going to breathe with
Ah,
you, and we're going to try to get our alignment to mirror your alignment. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ditch how I learned, and I'm just going to continue to do it. And being that we have mirrors and I can still see everybody because I can look in the mirrors,
well, yeah.
I'm practicing more now than I ever did as a teacher because I teach 3 classes a week, and I'm getting to take those classes.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
actually more work going around pointing to people than doing it yourself because you're doing it yourself.
You're doing it yourself,
Oh, how
but I
wonderful.
still plan my class. So it's not like I get up there and
Okay.
wing it. Back when I first started, I used to wing it. I would just go in and every class was different. I would teach 12 classes a week and they would all be different. Now I've adopted a style where I will plan a class for the week and then I will teach it the 3 times that I teach at the studio. And everybody knows that
Nothing
it's
wrong
the
with
same
that.
class. Yeah, and what's good is I make it interesting and challenging enough that they want a second shot or third shot at it. So they'll keep coming back to take it, and then they know the next week it'll be something different.
Wow, that's totally cool. I love that
Yeah.
so much. In fact, I am taking the Yoga Alliance certification class, as you
Hmm.
know, in March, and I couldn't be more
Yes,
excited. You
it's
want to tell me a little bit
wonderful.
more about that one? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like so excited. Thank you for. I feel so great. Like 50 and up aren't discriminated against. I'm 54. I'm taking it. I'm taking my training with the help of God. I'll
No,
do it. Yeah.
I've had teenage girls, I've had middle-aged women, I've
Oh, I
had,
love that.
women in their 60s and 70s who have done it. I
I
mean,
love that.
yes, and it's for everyone. And listen, it's not just learning how to teach yoga. It really is life-changing. It really is eye-opening. It really is a journey of the self. So you're going to come in and you're just going to grow as a person. You're going to learn so much as a person, and really you get out of it what you want to get out of it. I will provide the information and then you will do the self-study. That's kind of how it's laid out, and each week builds upon the next. But you do learn how to teach because this is a certification, and I give you opportunities to practice teaching in training. I give you feedback. I'm very encouraging, and I empower you to feel like you can go out and you could be a yoga teacher when you're done. That certificate is something for you to also make money with. So I take that very seriously. And I have, my trainees, a lot of them come in, the older people come in and say, I don't want to teach. I just want to be a part of something. I just want to go through the training to learn more about yoga. And halfway through, you see a light go off or a light in their eyes, and
Oh my
they're
God.
like, you know what? I actually think I can do this, and I actually really want to do it.
I
And it's funny.
totally believe that.
Yeah,
I totally know what you're saying too.
yeah,
Because when you catch that yoga bug, that yogi bug, you're like, I
yeah,
want to spread it. I want to
yeah.
share, right?
You want to share 1,000,000%. You know how it makes you feel and you want to share it. And I think the older people are always like, oh, what if I stink? So I'm going to say I don't want to, because as we get older, we get more fearful. We get a little insecure when we try new things. So like we'll come in and we'll be like, I'm not going to teach. I'm just doing it to learn more. But then when you get in there, you're like, I can do this. And I really love that that's what people say about the training too, is like after they're finished, they feel like they can do it and they never did before. So, if that's one thing that I can accomplish in training, that's the best thing, I think.
As a teacher and as a yogi, that must be like completely gratifying. Like I
Oh,
can
it's the
only
best job
imagine.
ever.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm so happy for you. And I can't wait.
I'm
Um,
so excited.
I want to know, since like I deal with a lot of women who are like 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s,
Hmm.
50s. If you
Yep.
had one like motivating piece of advice, like moving forward to stay motivated, to stay youthful, because I know in the yogi world there's a lot of principles that are like guiding light and
Hmm.
spirituality. If you had like one piece of wisdom, like how to stay to stay inspired and
Well,
empowered,
that's
especially in your
exactly what I
50s,
was
which
just
is where I
going to
am.
say. It's actually staying inspired. That is what I was going to say. And there's so many ways that you can stay inspired. I mean, taking class every week with a teacher that you love and connect with keeps you inspired. It really does. And it gives you ideas. Like I was just talking to the owner of the studio today, and she had said to me, because now that we're not walking around and teaching, we're taking our own classes, we
Love
don't
it.
really make it to other people's classes because we've been teaching such a long time that we can kind of jump on the mat, move around, and come up with a class because we feel what our bodies want. And that's how we create the class. And because people have been coming to us for so long, it's kind of like what they want too. Like what I need in my body, it kind of seems like it jives with what they want. But if you ever need inspiration, because she even said, she goes, if I ever feel stuck, I come to your class. And I taught her, I trained her. She was in my very first teacher training years ago. She was brought into the studio, Unique Yoga, right after she graduated from the training program. And then she bought the Cedar Grove location from him in 2019, right before COVID hit.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, and she and I, even though I I'm not part owner, I don't have a financial stake in the studio, my heart is there. It has always been because this was the first location for Unique as well. And I was very loyal to the previous owner. And with her, she and I work really well together and she shows that she appreciates me in a lot of ways. So
I have
we have
no
a great
doubt.
working relationship.
Well, it's
Yeah.
no mystery to see why everyone takes your classes, and your energy is amazing. I can hardly wait for March to come. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Me
Thank you
too.
for sharing all of this with me. And just so we know your so we could reach you, your handle on you have an Instagram. What is it? It's Flux
Yes.
Yoga, and tell us what it is.
It's Kelly the yoga mom.
Kelly the Yoga Mom. Got it. And
Yes.
the Flux Yoga in Cedar Grove. Great.
Yes.
So this has been like such a pleasure for me. And
Me
I'm
too.
thank you for sharing, because I yoga is like a spirituality for me, guiding light, and we all could use like a little something in our lives, right? And
Yeah.
this is why I had to talk to you about it. All the wisdom that you shared today.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and what great place. Flux is fantastic.
It is. Listen, Amy's done a great job. Not only did she make it beautiful inside, but it's easy to work with her. And
Okay.
yes, and our teachers, I do have to say, have been with us for a really long time. They were with us through COVID, and I think when it says something, I trained all of them. So I just think when you start at Flux, you don't want to leave. We all really feel connected to each other and we feel connected to the people who come. We've gotten very close to our community. We love our community. So,
Right. Like, yeah.
most teachers we're teaching for the people who are coming.
Right,
Yeah.
Debbie, who I met through the grapevine, and I go to her classes on Fridays. Just that
Mhm.
lift on a Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you get there, you get there, and you're like, I made it. But then when you leave, you're
I,
like, I'm so glad I came. Right,
same. Yeah,
a
totally.
Friday
Yes.
afternoon blahs, and then you get the lift, and you're like, thank God I came to this. Sets the tone for the whole
It's
weekend.
what you need. It sets the
A
tone for the
healthy
weekend. And it's
mindset
funny.
before the weekend.
You're not the only one that told me that. Listen, Deb is one of my best friends. Deb is one of my best friends. And
So cool.
somebody today actually came up to me at the desk and she was like, I was talking to Deb on Friday. She says she does yoga because of you. And I go, yeah, we were friends. And she decided
Wow.
to come to some classes.
That's
And
something.
then she decided to do teacher training. She goes, I have to tell you, I love Deb's class. I love her. She said, and when I come, she said, it's like, it's hard to get here at 4. She's like, I can never get here for the night classes because I'm just so tired from the week and my, she works and she has kids. And she said, but I make myself come at 4 and it is such a great way to start the weekend. And then I feel like I could take off Saturday and Sunday because I got that 4 o'clock Friday in. She goes, and Deb
Oh
is the
yeah,
best person
you
to
got
do
your
that for.
vibes for the weekend.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah, and she gets her inspirations from you, and like everyone else in the studio, very down to earth,
Yes, yes.
which
Yeah, that's a
yoga,
big deal.
in my opinion, should be.
I agree. I agree.
Judgment free
And
zone.
that's our tone there. Yep, we're all down to earth. We're good people.
Well,
We're real people.
you're the best for taking time out of your day for me, and you haven't seen the last of me, obviously, because I'm
No,
going to
right.
see you, a lot of you, in March,
Yep.
April, May, June. Thanks again, and I
You're
will talk to
welcome.
you soon, Kelly.
All right. Nice talking to
Nice
you.
talking to you, honey. Take
Have a
care.
good evening. All
You
righty.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.